Alright guys, thanks for tuning in to my channel for another fun gun review. And also just kind of giving my overall opinions on this firearm now that I have a little more time behind it. I'm somewhere between 500 to 600 rounds through this gun. And I've only week, maybe 2 weeks. Super fun gun to shoot. That's why the round count is skyrocketed as quickly as it has. As you read from the title, frame crack tips. There's a couple guys out there that have some videos that are experiencing crackage in the frame, and where it seems to be happening is behind the recoil spring. If you look in your manual, there is a part number 249, and 249 is called the cross pin. And the frame is actually cracking around that hole that the pin actually drifts through the frame. Here is my take on that. The guys that's having these experiences have super high miles on the firearm. I mean, I'm talking like 10, 15, 20,000 rounds, and high velocity. High velocity is not what is doing it. What's going on is I never once heard the guy mention that he replaced his recoil spring out. I know from taking the AGI courses, also taking 2 Glock courses, which was Armorer's course, and also through AGI was a thing called Rock Your Glock. That recoil springs need to be replaced out every so often. Glock Gen 3s, the Glock Armorer guy told me that it's just good nature every 5,000 rounds to just replace it out. It's literally like $7.50 to get a new recoil spring for a Glock. And if you go to a Glock match and you hand over your Glock to an Armorer, it don't cost anything. They swap them out for free for you. But a lot of guys, he was explaining to me that a lot of guys, as you can see, this firearm is clear, no ammunition, and I actually have the firing pin block down. But a lot of guys will do this. They will take a mag, insert, pull back slow, and come forward slow and let the spring chamber around like so, and they'll say, well, I'm good to go. That spring's still fine. But what they are failing to understand is that's only half the job of a recoil spring. The other half of the recoil spring is to keep this slide from slamming hard back against all the other components. And if your recoil spring is weak and you start coil binding that recoil spring, you will damage the frame. And this is on any gun. I don't care what it is. I don't care. Springfield, Smith & Wesson, all of them have a recommended spring change time. They'll tell you, hey, they're meant to go like 40, 50,000 rounds. I don't care what they say. You know, it's just good nature. I mean, if you got 5,000 rounds through your gun, just replace the recoil spring out. Go back out, put another 100 through that new recoil spring, 200 to that recoil spring, make sure it's functioning fine. Because what'll happen, like with your polymer frame guns, is on your recoil spring, if it's weak, it'll actually start slamming and coil binding, and it will actually take the pins and it starts slamming the pins hard enough to where they will actually make the holes through the polymer frame bigger to where the pins don't fit anymore. And then at that point, you're kind of screwed, because that's the frame is the serialized number. So $8, a little insurance, well worth it. In the case of the Phoenix arms, hell, you can get freaking a pack of 5 if you look in your manual on page 20. A pack of 5 recoil springs, part number 220. you can get 5 of them for $6. You know, so why wouldn't you just swap them out? You know, I mean, you're probably not dependent on the gun, you know, for self-defense. And if you are, then that's even more reasons to keep a fresh recoil spring in the gun. Also, I want to go over a list. So if you need to run and get, if you got a pen or a piece of paper or something, or if you just want to look at your manual, I'm going to give a list of part numbers after I give my experiences. So if you want to pause this or hurry up and run and get a piece of paper, I'm going to give part numbers on stuff that you need to order from them just to keep your gun running. My experiences with this gun is surprisingly well. I really didn't expect much. I mean, I bought it just to kind of have fun. You know, we was out with a buddy, and he had a Smith & Wesson 22, and it was just super fun shooting handgun. And I kind of at that point wanted to get a 22 handgun just because how fun it is. And then also I have hopefully scheduled here real soon to do the instructor CCW instructor course. So I'm going to be teaching a CCW class, and you know, I'm going to need something with a lifetime warranty that my students and stuff can just shoot the holy heck out of, and not worry too much about something happening. One, it's cheap, so there's not much money wrapped up. Two, I know that they'll stand behind it if it does ever go wrong. So my experiences is great. I'm pushing 5. I'm going to say either 5 or 6. We kind of lost count. The only 3 things that I had happen was my first outing, and if you watch my review on it, I had a round that it just wouldn't go off. It was an old Super X. There's 3 marks on it where I hit it, and each mark I tried hitting it twice. It was a bad round. It just wouldn't go off. And then also when we took it out to the range the first time and I handed it to the wife, she pulled on it, nothing. Hit it again, nothing. Racked it out, put another one in there, hit it again, nothing. Forgot to flip that up. So those are the only 3 issues that we've had out of the gun so far, and the one was a bad round, and the other 2 was just she wasn't familiar with the firearm, and I handed it to her out of the box, and I had that flip down. So user error. Also upgrades and mods and upgrades that I've done to this gun. The number 1 upgrade that I did to this was, as soon as I got it, I degreased it and I frog lubed it. It's been through 2 treatments of frog lube, and what I mean by that is when I got it, I did the heat, applied the heat here at the house with my tactical hair dryer, and applied the frog lube paste to it, let it cool down, wiped it off, and then I actually put the liquid in it and ran it the first time with the liquid in it. Swabbed the barrel a couple times while it was hot, and then came home, cleaned it with frog lube, put the liquid back in it, and then this last outing that we went and did, there was a light coat of the liquid in there. And now it's to the point where, I don't know if you can see or how well you'll be able to see this. Hang on, let me get my light on. How well you'll be able to see this, but you can see where I've treated it. And that's bone dry. I mean, you can just tell the difference. And what I'm talking about is here, where the slide actually runs. Also polishing the feed ramp. I did take a flat file and kind of flattened up some of the burrs and stuff right here on the breech face, just so I had it, since it's a blowback, to get a good seal, remove any of that. Also, in the extractor groove, I took a small square jeweler's file and cleaned that out really well, just so that the extractor just wasn't getting slammed every time. Just give it the extractor just a little bit more room to live in there. I don't know if I mentioned polish the feed ramp, and I didn't even really polish it as well as I do some other guns. And I did the same thing to this barrel. Also, you know, and I don't recommend you doing this unless you've had experiences, or bad experiences, should I say. I actually pulled my extractor out, and if you can tell how serious the pitch is on this extractor going in, I actually did what's called making the extractor more positive. Basically, if you're looking at the gun this way, and I made the extractor, I removed some material on the extractor here to make it more positive in there. Then I also refaced the extractor to get more real estate on the casing. I didn't really need to, but I know that I'm going to be putting a lot of rounds through this, so that was one thing that I wanted to do, just so that I wouldn't have any issues out of it. Boom, boom, boom. Where's it at here? All right, so tips to keep this running. You're going to want to hang on here. I'm looking at the manual. And okay, tips to keep this running. If you look at your manual, here's the list of part numbers you're going to want to get. Number one, you're going to want to get the pack of 5 recoil springs. It's $6. Number two, if you've done the modification like I did with the safety lever to make it basically like any other firearm on the market, you're going to want to buy another one just in case you have to send the firearm back. So that's not really a necessity to keep it running, but just a good tip. Another thing you're going to want to get is the hammer spring, which they call it the strut spring, and it is part number 227. It's $1 for a new hammer spring. You could get, after so much time, it could get weak and you start getting light strikes on the primer. So it's just a good thing to have in your go bag. Another part you're going to probably want to consider getting is a new firing pin. The part number on that is 204, and it costs $2.90. Okay. The other you're going to want to get is the firing pin spring. It is part number 221. It is 75 cents. And then the other ones you're going to want to get, it's going to be on the slide. You're going to want to go ahead and order a new extractor. Your new extractor is going to be part number 203. It is $3.40. The other one you're going to want to get is the extractor spring. It is part number 226. It's 75 cents. So, and then also order more mags. More mags. Because where I'm putting this firearm, I'm putting it in, if anything ever happens, goes down, I'm definitely probably going to take this with me. I know it sounds ridiculous, 22 handgun, but there's so many people hoarding 22s. The chances of you scouting and actually finding 22s and somebody's rucksack or whatever is pretty great. So I mean, if you're out of 9mm and you're out of this, you're out of that, whatever else that you plan on taking with you, hell, if you come across 22s, I mean, it's going to put holes in somebody they weren't born with, and it's better than a pointy stick. So those are items that you're going to want to buy and just kind of put them in a Ziploc bag with a little oil. And just keep them on hand for if the gun goes down. You don't have to wait 2 weeks or so and $50 in shipping to send the gun back. and also to put in your bag, your go bag, some parts to go. And usually, I cry about like guys kind of got on me about how I was griping about the recoil springs and the high points. Every 1,000 rounds having to replace them out. Well, one of the main troubles with that was you couldn't just buy them. They wouldn't let you. Every time I called them, I'm like, can I just buy some? I mean, I can give you my debit card number. I mean, you can just bill me. I mean, I'll take 5. I'll take 6. Well, sir, we normally don't send out more than one at a time, and they're free. And it's like, yeah, but I've spent 3 days in a row, each day an hour on hold just to try to get somebody to answer the phone. I mean, I don't want to do this every 1,000 rounds. For me, that's like every 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, I'm shooting this gun a lot. So, it's just getting obnoxious where, at least with Phoenix Arms, you can order them. So, I mean, you don't even have to even get on the phone. You can just order right off their website. So, that's a major plus for me. And then also, unlike like Glock and Smith & Wesson and stuff, you don't have to be like a certified armorer to order the parts straight from the factory. So, I mean, that's a plus, man. I mean, I think it's awesome. So, some things I wish they would do. One, this gun does not have a slide lock on the last round. Basically, it don't have a last round hold open feature, which, price of the gun, I totally get it. But what I want to show you, this is for my Mossberg Plinkster 702. And basically what they've done is they just made the follower just a little bit longer so it actually pops up. Now, it don't actually flip a lever of any sort. What it actually does is on the last round, when that bolt comes back, the bolt just slams the follower and it locks it back. Now, the mag won't drop free. From that point, you have to manually grab the bolt, pull it back, push it in and lock it, and then you can pull your mag out. But you're not dry firing on your last round. I would really like to see Phoenix Arms modify or come up with a new follower that would be a drop-in replacement. You would just replace out the follower. It would lock open. There was some guy selling some that they were making. They were plastic or whatnot. And there's some videos on YouTube and supposedly links to their eBay, but the eBay page is no longer up and going. So if you already have one, that's great. If you don't, then me and you and everybody else is just SOL. So I'd really like to see Phoenix Arms come out with one, and $2 or $3, or hell, even $5. It's just a drop-in fix. I'm sure we would all snatch those up. Another thing I would really like to see, if you're from Phoenix Arms or somehow you get a hold of this video, man, I would really, really like to see you guys come out with a 380 or a 9mm. Even just a larger scale, bigger than this. Because I kind of imagine in my head upscaling, and it would still be thinner than a high point. Also, I think that the Phoenix Arms just has their molds that they're making these out of. I mean, they're a lot finer finished. I mean, you're not probably going to be able to see too much of that, but just even with the logo, and there's no seam marks on this. You can't tell where the mold. The worst area on the gun was, which I've filed it off, underneath the barrel here. There was a little bit of seam lag where the mold came together, and then a little bit right here. Other than that, I mean, it's just really, really dehoned, and to me, it's a better product than the High Point and the Cobra And the Jimenez was actually pretty nice if it was just plus P. But you know, I would really like to see you guys come out with a single stack 9mm, and even if you, like I said, even if you just kept it this design, and maybe kind of made it to where it looked like a knockoff Beretta. I think that would be awesome. I think you guys do really well with that. Other than that, that's all I have, guys. I appreciate you guys sticking through the video. Hopefully this might have helped a little bit and shedded a little light on the whole situation. And like always, I want to encourage you to demand greatness in life, and be safe. Thanks.